The following feature presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 476 of Skywalking Through Neverland. Let's effing go. There you go. Look at it. So funny. I have a major nitpick.
Let me guess.
What?
Does it have to do with music?
Yes, it does.
Ever since I played Wolverine, people have been talking about Deadpool and Wolverine and their rivalry from the comic books.
That's a line I would have cut.
Really? Okay.
Just because.
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland.
Here we go!
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets love.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Never Land that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers. Are you Team Deadpool or are you Team Wolverine? Well, why not flame on with both teams since they are both here to save the MCU? Before we can LFG, we want to welcome you back to Skywalking Through Neverland. I am Richard Woloski with a very, very husky voice. And this is my sweetie wife, Sarah, who also has a very husky voice today.
Yes, we have very husky voices. We have been 5 days at Comic-Con, 1 day at Midsummer Scream, 3 days at the VCN, and Virtual Cantina, Family Vacation.
And then with other
jobs.
library shows mixed in there.
Needless
and all
to
within
say.
like last week. All within the last week. My goodness, this has been the week.
Yes, but we are very excited. So LFG. And so what I want to say is, because I was very naive and I was like, what does LFG mean? So I asked someone at Comic-Con. It means let's effing go.
Okay.
Let's effing go.
Good.
Yeah. So
I know your penchant for hashtag Sarah swears.
I know, yeah.
So I want to make sure we're safe.
So whenever we say LFG, that's what we mean. In fact, even talking with Rob Simonsen, who is the composer for the music for Deadpool and Wolverine, his theme for that movie is called the LFG theme. And so I was like, what does this mean? And so finally someone was kind enough to say, let's effing go. There you go. Okay. So I guess if you're not on Twitter all the time, or X or whatever it is now, you may not know that. So you're welcome.
Okay.
All right. Well, Skywalkers, we are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars, Disney, and pop culture and Marvel fandom. Finally, Marvel. We're talking Marvel. So imagine a big Wookiee hug from us and a little sprinkle of pixie dust for our family of Skywalkers. Oh, you might even get a Marvel snick from Wolverine. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we are live on the Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube channel and Instagram and Facebook. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube and then click again on that subscribe button for notifications. There's like a little bell that comes up. And so that's what you can do to have notifications when we go live. So Richard.
Now, I think since the last time we were recording, we were asking everyone to get us to over the 9,000 mark.
Yes.
And we were at 86, I think.
No, 8960.
8960.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to report we have 60 new subscribers since we
Whoa!
last recorded. See, you ask Skywalkers for something and they deliver. So we are now at 9,021.
Wow. So we
9,021.
blew past 9,000.
Yeah.
Thanks to Comic-Con and our panels there.
Yeah, the
as
first
well.
panel we did, we asked everyone, we need like, at that point, 30 more subscribers.
Yep.
And within like minutes, we got to that mark.
Yeah, it was so awesome. So yeah, we will be posting one of our panels at least. If you are a Patreon subscriber, we will be posting both of our panels, videos there. But yeah, so it'll be really fun coming up in the next couple weeks because lots to do. D23 is happening. Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
So we should probably take off next week from the podcast. Just to catch up.
That's true. Right, so just get other videos out.
Yeah, we have other videos and reels and shorts to do. So there will be content.
Yes. It just won't be a podcast
content.
It'll be YouTube videos.
Yes.
We did some interviews with composers. We did some interviews on the fashion show, Her Universe fashion show. So yeah, all that content will be coming out soon.
And you know that.
And our panels are themselves.
And you know Halloween is coming up, so we have a lot of reels to do for the haunted haunt at Midsummer Scream, where you walk through the little mini haunted mazes. We took reels of everything. So if you weren't able to be there yourself, well, guess what? We're gonna bring you there.
That's right.
Via our Instagram.
Now, in this episode, we will be discussing the MCU Jesus, Deadpool, and Wolverine. And that, of course, is said with all snark. Now, we'll give our opinions. We're going to share sound bites from the press junket that we were invited to from Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman themselves. And yes, there will be spoilers because now that people have seen the film, it's fun to listen to a discussion with spoilers. So you can really enjoy it.
Have people really seen the film? It's made $500 billion quadrillion. So it's pretty much safe to say everyone has seen the film by now or a couple of times.
Yes.
All right, now, we are being sponsored by Small World Vacations, and they are a diamond-level Disney vacation planner travel agency that can help you book your trip to a Disney park around the world and on a Disney cruise. And best of all, this service is free of charge. So head over there to smallworldvacations.com for a no-obligation price quote and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Now we are recording this episode from Long Beach, California on July 31st. Harry Potter's birthday, 2024. Aw. So Richard, I know it's Harry Potter Day, but what happened today in Star Wars history?
Well, in Star Wars history, we're going to go back 23 years to this date, July 31st, 2001, and Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade become parents to Ben Skywalker. And this happened in the New Jedi Order Edge of Victory 2 Rebirth, written by Greg Keyes. Now, did you read this big 19-volume series in the New Jedi Order?
No, I read like the first book. Chewie got killed. I was out. And that's when like college started and things. So basically from 91 to about 2000 or 99, I was into the books. And after that, they just got way too scattered and crazy with the X-Wing series, the X-Wing Squadron, the New Jedi Order. Like so many books came out, I could not keep up. And then, studies and things. So
studies? Yeah, study this.
I know. Well, now.
I can barely keep track of a trilogy of books. But this is goodness gracious. But this was a big event because Luke Skywalker becomes a daddy. Mark Hamill commented on the character of Ben Skywalker on StarWars.com.
Yeah, what did he say?
Pablo Hidalgo just told me about this. It doesn't surprise me. Somebody's using their head. George had talked about me handing Excalibur down to the new young hopefuls if there was ever a sequel trilogy.
Okay.
It makes sense that Ben ends up being the most influential person in Luke's life. I'm glad the caretakers are doing such a good job with the galaxy. So, yeah, that did play out in the Star Wars sequels.
Yep.
Since he did create the Jedi Academy, and he was handing down the Excalibur to Ben Solo, a.k.a. Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
So it all ties together. So they didn't disregard all of this expanded universe.
No, exactly.
Like we always say, they pick and choose. And this dovetails right in to the sequels.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
You are welcome.
Very interesting. All right. Well, now it's time. Let's break down Deadpool and Wolverine. And remember, Skywalkers, there will be spoilers.
Attention, Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Attention, Skywalkers. Spoilers ahead.
Warning.
Spoilers ahead. Spoilers ahead.
Deadpool and Wolverine has broken R-rated box office records, concession stand records, and theater chain business records across the country on its opening weekend. The theater chain market shares even went up because of this film. So crazy. So let's give a little breakdown first on the monetary aspect, yes,
of the MCU Jesus.
Yeah, so Deadpool and Wolverine made $444 million worldwide in the opening weekend. That was more than Avatar: Way of Water, which, as we know, overseas does amazingly well. And that was just under Spider-Man: No Way Home in 2021. But either way, this is the biggest R-rated opening of all time, no question, domestic, international, and globally. So as of recording now, it has already passed 500 million worldwide, and it's only halfway through the week. Yeah.
Right, yeah, it hasn't even been out for a week yet.
Yeah.
This is going to be the biggest film of the 2020s.
Maybe. Well, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of films coming out.
Yes.
Looking at you, Mandalorian and Grogu, and Fantastic Four.
Oh, yeah.
And Doomsday. So this is just the start of it.
All right, so let's kick things off with a summary of the film. Deadpool and Wolverine picks up 6 years after the events of Deadpool 2, in which Wade Wilson, who is Deadpool, stole a time travel device to save the lives of his love, Vanessa, and Peter, his sidekick. Now, Wade has settled down into the role of used car salesman, but his ultimate goal in life is to be part of a team and have an impact on the universe, and specifically a part of a superhero team, because he is a superhero. Mr. Paradox, Matthew McFadyen from Succession, he works at the TVA and recruits Wade because he knows that Wade just wants to matter. But Paradox is set on destroying Wade's timeline because the timeline has lost its anchor being. Which anchor being is that?
Wolverines!
That's right. Wolverines?
Oh, I was quoting Red Dawn.
Wolverines! Oh, okay. But from Logan. So as we know, if you've seen the movie Logan, Wolverine famously sacrificed himself to save X-23 and like all the X-mutants, basically. So basically, Wade decides to save his universe by recruiting another Wolverine from another multiverse, and it just so happens to be the worst Wolverine in the best outfit. The yellow and blue.
The outfit fans have been clamoring for.
The jammies, yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, Skywalker's Academy. Yeah, don't listen because, yeah, we're going to do spoilers, so please. Thank you. They're turning the sound down. That's very sweet. Aw. Okay. By the way, as we go through this, and if you're watching, if you want to share comments, we're going to ask questions of each other. Feel free to share your comments as well. Now, as we mentioned, it's the worst Wolverine. So this Wolverine has utterly failed the X-Men and his universe. He is at his lowest point. He is the wrong man. So now Wolverine and Deadpool must reluctantly work together to save Wade's universe and his friends. So, Richard, what were we expecting going into this film, and what was our reaction, our initial reaction after finally seeing it?
Well, I love any film that just throws pop culture references, and this throws pop culture references at you faster than big MCU news coming out of Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. It was that fast. Now, we'll get into all the big MCU news on things we want to share next Monday. But beyond that, the film was non-stop fun. And Hugh and Ryan just bouncing off of each other, knowing that they're such good friends. And a lot of it is so personal within each other. They have great chemistry. Mm-hmm. I did feel myself trying to catch up because you had to really have seen Deadpool 2 and Logan to really understand where the story was coming from and going. And I felt myself going, okay, hold on. Let's put it on pause and trying to remember what was happening in the last time we'd seen these characters.
Yeah, because they do a little bit of a exposition, but it's very, very short. Like they show some clips from the films, But like I found myself a little unclear as to where the relationship between Vanessa and Wade were.
Right, because last time we saw Vanessa died.
Yeah.
And I forgot about that.
I forgot that she came back. Yeah, even though we watched Deadpool 2 recently. I don't know, it just
so
didn't stick
I
with
was
us.
very confused. So I found myself catching up. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm missing some of the story here.
But for me, that didn't detract. It was just...
No, but I wish that we had watched this episode of Skywalking Through Neverland that will tell people to watch Deadpool 2 and Logan to really fully understand, unless these plot points in these past movies are so cemented in your head that you will remember. Now, you gotta say that this film did have the biggest scream out loud moment since Yoda fought Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones.
I will absolutely second that.
Yes, I know it's already out there.
Yeah.
And we'll go into it later on.
Will.
But all I can say is flame on.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So I'm hoping that the filmmakers had thought it through and thought, okay, we can't say anything important for the next 5 minutes on the soundtrack because people will be screaming so loud. I can't remember anything that happened in the next couple of minutes.
Well, it was all visual, so there was no talking. At least I don't think so.
Oh,
But
right, because they were captured in the void.
He flamed on.
Yes, and it was them being transported to the fortress.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Okay, so all in all, I really, really loved the film. I had such a great time, and it was so many laugh out loud moments.
Now, what were you expecting leading into this?
I didn't know. This is a Deadpool movie distributed by Disney. So, and I knew, I hate to use the word, I knew that Disney wasn't going to Disneyfy it, and I hate using that word, which means water down the subject matter.
Right.
So I knew that Disney knew just to give Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds the go-ahead and say, okay, we're going to back off from this because you guys know what you're doing, and we don't want anyone to say afterwards, oh, this is Deadpool Disney-fied.
Right.
So I wasn't sure what to expect.
Okay.
But I went in there very, very hopeful. Now, I love what Disney's doing with Star Wars and with the MCU. So I don't consider that word Disney. I consider that word Disneyfied as kind of like a slander.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
All right. And what about you?
So I was going into it expecting, I mean, the trailers really led you to expect, very wisecracking Deadpool, very breaking the fourth wall. He even breaks the fourth wall in that first trailer when the TVA picks him up at his birthday party and he looks at Disney and says something about pegging. It's like, oh, right, Disney? Yeah, it was really funny. So, but I was not prepared for how funny or crazy or cartoony gory it got. Now, I should have been prepared for the cartoony gore because that was like a staple in Deadpool 1. I remember that.
And
clearly.
2.
And 2, but I just remember it really hitting me in Deadpool 1. And I was pleasantly delighted with all the fourth wall breaks, especially call-outs to entertainment news and Disney taking over Fox. Like the fact that Fox... when they get to the void and that 20th Century Fox logo is broken down and they're fighting on top of it. Oh my God. That was the most hilarious thing I think I've ever seen. And it got a huge reaction from the audience when they pulled out to that establishing shot.
But I'm wondering how that's going to play in Iowa.
Yeah. Right. That's what I'm
people
wondering.
Understand? And I'm sure it's a visual gag, so they don't hold on it.
Right.
It's right there. If you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't.
Well, and that's also my dad, I believe, is going to see this movie tonight.
Oh.
Late tonight. And I don't know if he's been keeping up with all the entertainment news, like Blade being Wesley Snipes, right?
Yeah.
And the fact Daredevil, the whole Daredevil and Elektra call out, when those little throwaway lines that are really funny jokes if you know your pop culture history, entertainment news, and who is cast as what. The whole Flame On thing really worked for us because we've always been pleasantly, it's just a funny fact that Chris Evans was
Johnny Storm.
Exactly, before he was cast as
Captain America.
Which is by far his most well-known role, but many of us remember that.
Well, the fact that he went back there it's like Harrison Ford returning to Bob Felfa.
Yes, yeah.
When he said if Bob Felfa made an appearance in The Rise of Skywalker. It's
right.
Like, I thought you were going to be Han Solo.
Yeah, why is he singing Some Enchanted Evening?
Exactly.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
you go. See, you know your American Graffiti.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah. So I love that, and I was so proud of myself that I got, like, most every joke. And also, I feel like this film really had heart. Even with all the antics and jokes and fun, it is absolutely an R-rated comedy, but it had that heart, and so that's what I really loved about it.
I was expecting a lot of heart because Deadpool and Deadpool 2 had a lot of heart.
Yeah, because he's really a vulnerable character.
Well, you can't really follow a story when it's just joke, because that gets tiring and repetitive.
Yeah.
So the MCU is really fantastic at throwing the heart in there when it needs. They know their peaks and valleys. So DC Universe, pay attention and make notes.
Yes. All right, well, let's go back a few years, though, to when Hugh Jackman, who's back as Wolverine, he had famously said after Logan that he would be hanging up his claws. So why did he come back? Let's hear from him at the press conference that we attended.
I watched Deadpool 1 3 days after announcing Logan would be my last. I remember thinking, oops, because I could see the movie. Listen, it wasn't new to me. Ever since I played Wolverine, people have been talking about Deadpool and Wolverine and their rivalry from the comic books. And then, of course, we had a sort of go at it with X-Men Origins Wolverine, but I could feel it. I could see it. It was Midnight Run. It was 48 Hours. It was The Odd Couple, Trains, Planes, Automobiles. It was all these great sort of matchups that I could feel. And we toyed with the idea, but it was August 14th, 2022. And I don't know why. I just knew every cell in my body was yelling at me, I want to do this movie. So much so that I pulled my car over from the side of the LIE and I rang Ryan immediately because I knew that they were getting close to filming. I thought they may have even been filming. And I asked him, and thankfully he said yes.
Trains, planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, Midnight Run, 48 Hours, it all makes sense.
Yeah, and so the comics, yes, in the mid-90s, the Marvel comics did a series of team-ups with Deadpool and Wolverine. In some of the comics, they even made one of them the villain. And so they've had this reluctant kind of alliance relationship there in the comics since the 90s.
Yeah, I was so far out of my comic collecting by this point that I had no idea who Deadpool was until the first film.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, are they trying to knock off Spider-Man with this? What is this character?
I remember we were at like LA Comic-Con one year and there was a big Deadpool meetup, like costume meetup, cosplay. And that's who I first was like, what's this character Deadpool?
Yeah.
And I didn't like the name. Well, we saw the 2008 film too, but that wasn't like the real costumed Deadpool.
No.
Yeah. So
not if Ryan Reynolds has anything to do with it.
Yeah, Wolverine,
anything to say about it.
X-Men Origins.
Yes.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so this like there was a huge cosplay meetup of Deadpools and they were all like, posing very sexily,
right, yeah,
like sexy poses or touching their butt or whatever it was. And I'm like, what is this character? I don't get it. But seeing the movie, I get it.
All makes sense.
Yes. So what I loved leading up to the film is, we mentioned that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, they really love each other. And they continued this kind of reluctant bromance relationship leading up to the film on social media. Like, I remember at first seeing when the poster art was revealed, Ryan Reynolds shared on his Instagram, oh, here's the poster art, and it says Deadpool and Wolverine, like very, very big. That Deadpool is bright red and first. And then Hugh Jackman, he came up in my feed, and it said, fixed it, and he had inverted the title. So it was Wolverine and Deadpool, and it was so cute. I was like, oh, I was in. So I followed them from that moment on. And they did little things like that, little jibes.
Yeah, and if it had just been two actors who had just met a year or two beforehand, you wouldn't have had this fun rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
So it really worked with these two.
Yeah.
So yeah, judging by that incredible reaction for the first teaser trailer, where Hugh Jackman strolls past Ryan Reynolds in the background, and And Ryan says, hey, you want to be in the new Deadpool movie? Okay, sure.
Aw.
That after the incredible reaction to that, we knew that we were in for a huge treat. Because like you said earlier, Hugh Jackman famously said, that's it. That's it for Wolverine. I just can't stay in this kind of shape for too much longer.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I equate Hugh coming back with Harrison Ford coming back to The Force Awakens. For decades, Harrison Ford had said, nope, not going to do it. He just wants to move on. You know what? That makes sense. Until one day, they get a little bit older and they just move past it. And I'm sure a big dump truck full of money at their front door doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But we just have to wait until, enough time goes by where they go, yeah, I've done it. I've done the films that I want to do now, so I can go back to my iconic character. And
Right.
It's kind of like Michael Keaton said, no more Batman. Sean Connery said, no more James Bond, which is why they named his last James Bond movie, Never Say Never Again. So when an actor says they're not going to return to their iconic role, just wait a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see you in Elf 2, Will Ferrell.
Nice. Maybe a different outfit this time? Who knows?
Yeah, maybe one in red.
Yeah. All right. Well, the question was asked at the press conference, like, why do these characters work so well together, Deadpool and Wolverine? And Ryan Reynolds is a producer on this film, and he was overseeing the production. He was helping to oversee the writing of it. He did not write it himself, but he was overseeing the writing. So let's see what he says, and also director Sean Levy.
And really, he and Wolverine are more similar than different in the sense that they both actually their big shadow is shame. They're the thing that they're running away from is shame, and they just both handle it in very different ways. So I was more interested in what these two characters had in common as we went into this movie than what they didn't. And I think that's the thing that's more interesting. And I think it also speaks to how some of the global issues we experience with everything being so fucking divisive all the time. But yeah, I know this character's vulnerability is kind of everything.
But can I add something, right? I think that this movie found the three of us at a stage and a moment in our life where we are comfortable showing those more fragile parts. And the movie has a warmth to Ryan's performance, to Hugh's Wolverine, that is revealing dimensions that haven't necessarily been explored as much and with as much open warmth.
So Ryan said something that I never really thought of before.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about how these two characters are different, but how they're very similar. And you see that in Midnight Run. You see that in 48 Hours in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It never really dawned on me. I just saw these characters, the Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte, the Steve Martin and John Candy, Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin.
Oh yeah.
I just
You saw
never
the
dawned.
Odd Couple,
It was
like,
they were the Odd Couple.
Right.
But now that he mentions it, as the films go on, you see how similar these characters are. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Boom.
I know. It's really cool. And so they kind of played on that in the writing, and you can really tell.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's move into some of our favorite funny moments from this film.
How much time do we have?
Oh, we have a lot of time. And in fact, we called on our Skywalkers to react to the film on social media. And so we're going to read some of your comments and then comment on our own comments.
Okay.
So shall we start with the opening sequence?
Oh, yeah.
So I know our friend Denise Power really loved the opening sequence, and even after seeing it for the first time, she wanted to stay in the theater so she could just watch the opening sequence again to the next screening. Kelly Turkel says the opening sequence with NSYNC's song "Bye Bye Bye" is a fave, and also all the Deadpools fighting to Madonna was pretty epic.
See, now I get that "Bye Bye Bye" song stuck in my head.
Totally
and
do.
Whenever you have the dichotomy of what's going on screen, like a big battle, to a Madonna song.
Yeah.
that's all. That never fails to get a smile.
Yeah.
All right. Meredith Duckworth, she says the F you to Fox. Oh, when Deadpool says F you Fox, I'm going to Disneyland, and then headbutting the camera.
Yeah. Right in the TVA after he learned like that he needs to save the universe,
Yeah,
right?
I heard that line. It's like, did he just say that? It just seems like one of these Disney shilling moments. But you know what? He's calling claim to it. So great.
All right, Matt Clifton brings up a good one. The slow-mo walkout to Like a Prayer, and then the reach behind the head, Wolverine, to pull up the Wolverine mask, and the crowd went wild. And Deadpool says, how much wind resistance do those effing handles get? Look at it. So funny.
Yeah, surprisingly, we had not seen any images on social media of the mask. And I just assumed he wasn't going to wear the mask.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of it because his hair is already in those little
Right.
tufts.
Yeah.
And they never have really addressed the mask in any of the X-Men films.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So now he's just accepting it.
Yeah.
Accepting the yellow and blue outfit, accepting the mask. Yeah, when he pulled that mask on, oh, the theater once again went crazy.
And then what I found hilarious is that's right when they're in front of that shop that they had broken into. And so, like, there was all these sparks happening in that shop. And it's, like, obviously past the point where there still would be sparks, but you know it's a film. And so for the film, there's more sparks that happen.
Because you need that trailer moment.
Yes. So Diz Jen is weighing in on Instagram. She says, I love the pegging comment. Yeah. So the TVA knock on Deadpool's door at his party, and he like closes the door. Okay, guys, let's take this down the street. You guys are all gonna strip, right? You know, he thinks it's like strippers that someone ordered for him.
Yeah, for his birthday party.
Yeah.
So they can mention pegging, they just can't mention cocaine.
Right. And this is so fun. This was one of my funny moments, my call outs, was the fact that Deadpool, you know, he's on his couch, he's talking with Blind Al, his roommate. He's calling out the fact that Disney won't let them do cocaine on screen. That's like a bridge too far. But then Feige wouldn't like it. And so then Blind Al keeps throwing out all these terms that I guess mean cocaine.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, he knows what that means. Nope, he knows all the lingo. Yeah.
Oh, Blind Al, that's Leslie Uggams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's his roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was funny.
All right. Wesley Meecombs, he says, I can't pick a favorite. I'm with you, Wesley. Flame On was an awesome moment. Elektra's reaction to Daredevil being dead, was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, in The Void, Daredevil didn't survive.
Nope.
And Elektra responds with a meh, which is a response to Ben Affleck, who played Daredevil in the film of 2003, I want to say, where Jennifer Gardner made her debut as Elektra.
Right.
In that film.
And then she and Ben Affleck were married for a while.
I know. I've been at their house when they've been married.
And they have kids. Right. They have kids. And now they are divorced.
Yes.
So the fact that all of that is playing in your head when she makes this comment.
Yeah.
If you know that information is just hilarious.
One of the top, I would say, 3 funniest moments.
Yeah, and it was called out a lot in here. So our followers, you guys know, you Skywalkers know your stuff.
Yep.
All right. Also, Wesley mentions watching Gambit throw his playing cards and seeing people explode when the cards hit them was really neat. Wesley, what goes on in your mind?
A new side of Wesley.
Yeah.
Carrie Gordon says, I love the specific callback to Loki, Season 1, Episode 5.
Right, when they're talking about Eliath, the monster. That was so funny.
And it was very helpful, too, because we were able to tell friends, okay, go watch Loki, Season 1, Episode 5 to get a specific reference.
Yes, and go to the void, too. So, yeah, a lot of that mechanics you really needed to know for the film.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think you'd be a little more lost than you were.
You know what I was going to say? This is the first film that really breaks that fourth wall, but She-Hulk, well,
yeah.
There was Deadpool before She-Hulk,
Right.
but yeah. But I'm now putting this together and really in a kind of a way, WandaVision doesn't really speak to the audience, but does break that fourth wall. So I think this is a great new convention, something very different in the MCU, because I think with so many different installments in the MCU, you need to shake things up every now and then. Like Ant-Man did a great job shaking up the whole seriousness of the MCU, and this really shakes it up in a whole nother way.
Right. Yeah, I know it's kind of sad, or the comment, but I thought there was a funny moment when Wolverine, the worst Wolverine, comes into the TVA, And Deadpool makes a crack like, you're kind of joining us at a bit of a low point, and it's not necessarily low, but after the high of Endgame, anything can seem low,
right?
I mean, WandaVision was absolutely excellent, but it happened after Endgame, and so
that's a line I would have cut.
Really? Okay.
Just because, I'm sure Brie Larson is like, hey, you know what? It wasn't our fault that the Marvels didn't do well.
No, not at all.
It was all just the trolling online.
And the fact that they couldn't promote it. Those ladies could not promote the film.
Yeah, exactly.
And they would have been absolutely excellent at it.
So they're not really saying the worst low point. They're saying a low point. So I guess that makes sense.
It's just calling out, like Deadpool's calling out.
Oh, I understand. I'm a very sensitive being.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking out for the women of the Marvels.
Yes. Now, I do know that a lot of people were questioning going into this, how are they going to make Logan make sense if Logan is coming back in Deadpool 3? And Deadpool, they address this right away, opening sequence. Like, he says, he even asks, he's like, I bet you're wondering, how are we not going to desecrate Logan's memory? And the answer is, we are. And he starts digging up Logan's skeleton. And then they just go so far over the line of decency that it becomes this
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
That the fact that he uses Deadpool's skeleton, his adamantium bones, to kill all the TVA agents as the credits roll. Like, oh my God. And also he's sitting there with the skeleton going, so Hugh, blah, 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 blah. You laughed so loud.
Oh, yeah.
That was so cute.
Because there's a lot of bloopers you'll see of actors calling each other by their real names.
Yeah.
Cut. All right. They're not the actors. They're the characters.
They just left it in. Love it. Mm-hmm. Love it.
Now, I had no concern over this whatsoever because the multiverse, whenever there's a question, the multiverse.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't have a question about
Not
that.
whatsoever, just because of this safety net of the multiverse.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, so I know we talked about it a little bit, but let's get to our favorite cameos.
It goes without saying, Chris Evans is back as Johnny Storm, a.k.a. The Torch, the human Torch. This was hilarious.
This was hilarious, and the way they cinematically did it was great. They showed a figure in a hood, then they show a close-up of the arm. It's kind of like the Luke Skywalker moment in the end of
The Force
Mandalorian
Awakens.
season 2.
Oh, right. You see
when you see like certain little things, you see the X-wing.
See his big
you see the
belt buckle.
Yeah. So like this, you see the hooded character. You're like, who is that? You see the arm come out of the cape, and it's got red and blue, and you're like, is this like a Captain America variant? What's happening? Then you see the hood come off. It is Chris Evans, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then Deadpool is also doing it with you because Deadpool breaks the fourth wall. He's like, oh, he's going to say it. He's going to say it. Avengers, flame on. And Johnny Storm goes flaming up into the air. His cape just disappears into the fire. And you, me, and Mike Celestino were sitting next to each other. I was sitting in between you guys, and we all, at the same exact moment, were like, ah! And we like screamed for like a full minute as the story continued. It was insane.
Well, like Hugh Jackman, Chris Evans has said, I'm done with Captain America. But I'm thinking, well, did Hugh and Ryan do an intervention?
Yeah.
And say, okay, Chris, one more time as Captain America. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh my
But then when he said flame on, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
That was the best.
Yes.
All right, we have a comment from Instagram from Luella. Hey, Luella. She says, I loved seeing all the variants of Deadpool. Some looked so funny, I need to watch again. Yes, and Matt Clifton is calling this out. Super Paul Mullen as Welshpool. And I didn't know what this meant, but Melissa Miller and Matt were explaining to me that from Wrexham, Bend It Like Wrexham, or his series that Ryan Reynolds, he owns a team. He owns a team, so that's one of the players on the team from Wales. And so... he's
a cameo.
Yeah, he's the star player of Wrexham.
Okay, but he's got a cameo as a Deadpool.
Yes.
But do we ever see his face?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it later came out who was what.
Right.
Yeah. But
and Ollie Palmer was also in there as a Deadpool, and he's another soccer player.
Yes.
Or football player.
Football player, yes. Yeah.
All right, now Blair Bates, he says Channing Tatum finally gets to play Gambit.
Okay. Now,
So
yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look this up, but as a Fatum fast fact, Channing Tatum was attached to star in a Gambit standalone X-Men spinoff back in 2014. But the project was scuttled in 2019 with the acquisition of Fox by Disney.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, I had no idea what that even meant until now.
Oh, and Lori Lazat says she almost burst into tears seeing Gambit. Oh, that's so sweet.
I thought, okay, I'm thinking, are they gonna bring back Howard the Duck as a guy in a suit?
Yeah.
That would have been hysterical.
All right, Scott Hume said he also appreciated Jennifer Garner was better as Elektra in this than in either of her 2 previous appearances. I want her in the MCU. Also, I don't know if it was intentional, but I chuckled that it was the middle-aged white lady driving the minivan.
So she was driving the minivan in the void. Jennifer
Garner.
Yeah, she played Elektra in Daredevil and the Elektra movie, and those movies were so serious.
Yeah.
They didn't have the fun Marvel MCU sense of humor twist.
Okay, got it. All right. So, also, Luella really likes Elektra. She loved seeing Elektra.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Never in a million years did I ever think she would return in an MCU movie as Elektra. Never in a million years. And then when Wesley Snipes made a comment about I'm the only Blade.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I'm sure this Wesley Snipes version didn't want to know that Mahershala Ali was going to be taking his place.
Yeah.
Oh, instead of coming back as Blade, Wesley Snipes should have come back as Black Panther.
Oh,
because
wow. Yeah.
He was working that movie so hard in the 1990s. He really wanted to do Black Panther. So that would have been a deep cut if he came back. If he appeared for the first time as Black Panther. Would have confused like 98% of the audience. But those who got it would have said, all right, there you go.
All right. Do you have a favorite variant of Wolverine?
The little one. The first one.
Yes.
When Deadpool goes on a search for the Wolverine, he sees Wolverine at a bar. And you see the close-up of Hugh Jackman. But when you see the long shot, he's this little,
he gets off the stool.
4-foot Wolverine. Because in the comics, he's a very short person.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that was so funny.
I want to call it Joey Pittman's comment. Too many great moments. We finally got the Wolverine we always wanted. Not the yellow and blue suit with the mask, but the OG short and stocky Wolverine, the one that made me a huge fan in the first place. Aw, Joey. That's awesome. I love that so much. All right. Well, we have to ask this question of Hugh Jackman and Kevin Feige. What is their favorite variant of Wolverine? So let's hear what they said.
What was it like, Hugh, for you to be able to explore so many different variants of Wolverine? And do you have a favorite?
It was fantastic. I mean, I got to say the highlight. We were sort of joking a bit before, but the highlight was putting on that suit, the yellow and blue suit. And it had been talked about from the very beginning, right? I mean, those conversations were there. It wasn't like it was never mentioned, but it was at the beginning in 1999, just universally, or I don't know if universally, but I'm sure you disagreed, but it was filmed.
So there were studio execs in charge who knew that The Matrix had been a big hit, and The Matrix had black leather, so let's put them in black leather.
Was that it? Was that it?
Oh, for sure.
That's it,
I didn't
really?
know that.
Yes.
That's cool.
Okay, there you go.
Finally, an answer.
Oh, I got it after all these years. And then it sort of became like, I don't know if we can make it work. I don't know if we can. And the moment I put it on, I remember walking out there with Ryan on set, him and the Deadpool, me and the yellow and blue, amongst this crew that had done hundreds of movies and seen everything. There was just a hush, and it was you could feel that everyone was like going, oh, okay, this is a moment that should have happened 24 years ago. And now
one of the coolest moments of my whole career.
Me too.
Just standing next to you in that.
I just can't imagine doing it any other way. And in terms of the variants, it was so cool. I was given actually on the very first movie a thing which I had framed, which was a collection. Imagine like trading cards, but not cut up. So it was just a sheet of trading cards of all the different Wolverine variants. There would have had to have been 60 on that, maybe 50 or 60. And so I've had it next to my bed in Australia, and I look at it all the time. And I just think, wow, the pirate, wow, the samurai, like how can he pull that off? And all of a sudden in this movie, I'm like, oh, yeah, tick, 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 tick. Not the pirate, by the way. Anyway, it was really cool. Did you ask which was my favorite? I think of the variants, I loved Apocalypse, but I have to say I think Patch. There's something about Patch that ticked a little internal James Bond.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Patch was the one sitting at the card table that they showed from behind first. He's wearing a white jacket, much like
James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond, and he's got the patch. And that's his name, but he's very James Bondy. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
That was a great montage.
Yeah. But there you go. Kevin Feige was answering the question, like, why not that yellow and blue suit in the original X-Men? And it's because The Matrix had just come out and everyone was like gaga over The Matrix and they were in black leather. So let's put you X-Men in black leather.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There you go. All right. So now let's get into the heart of the film. All right. So I want to talk about one of my favorite heartfelt moments, and that is when Laura, who is X-23, and she's also was recently Jackie in The Acolyte.
Daphne Keane.
Yeah, they have this heart-to-heart in the void, and he says, he's just kind of pouring out, he's being a little vulnerable and saying, I'm the wrong man for this job. Deadpool wants to save the universe, and he's recruited them, and he's just like, no, I'm the wrong man. And she says, well, that's the thing. You're the wrong man until you're the right one. And that's like exactly what happens in this film at the climax.
We need to do a t-shirt.
Yeah! I love it so much. So that was very sweet. Well, I'll talk about my other one too, and that's when Deadpool is being recruited by Paradox, and that's when Paradox is showing him all the videotapes of the Avengers, specifically Captain America, and the camera's pulling in on Deadpool and zooming into his face as he's watching, and like just you can feel his longing. He wants to be part of this team, this Avengers, and it's like that love and longing for the MCU. Like, that's what we all feel, It's like when I watched Rogers the Musical and just had this longing for that time in the MCU and things were clear and there was bad guys and there was good guys and, it's like nostalgia now.
When a person died, they died.
Yeah.
I was almost expecting when they were showing all those shots from the Avengers films that on one little screen you saw Disney Plus.
That would be funny.
Maybe there was, but we just didn't notice it.
Yes.
Yeah. Many heartfelt moments. But like you said, the scene between Logan and Daphne Keane, X-23, that was the moment.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there any nitpicks that we had? Anything we didn't like?
Like I said before, just the going in prepared for this. Like we've said years past, you can't walk into the 32nd installment of a franchise and go, okay, I know what's going on.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But as deep as we are into the MCU, we had a little trouble keeping up with, okay, where was Deadpool? Where's Vanessa? And X-23 is where? And Logan was killed when and how?
Yeah, and luckily we have a very strong TVA. We know the Loki series very well.
Yeah.
So we knew all the mechanics of that.
Right.
I can see if you have never seen that series and are just kind of thrown in to this film with the void and being what is that called when you're paired into the void? Pruned. When you're pruned, all of that, you're like, what's happening? You're probably very confused.
But they do it well enough where if you don't understand, you can still follow it.
Yeah, they did a little exposition.
Yeah, and I'm sure anyone going in cold will be able to follow it. But us having these Rolodex minds, like, okay, we want to catch up and trying to place everything where it is.
Yeah.
So I think that was kind of our hindrance.
Okay. Well, I kind of had that too. Mm-hmm. Didn't ruin it for me at all.
No.
But yeah, I was a little confused.
Slowed things down where we're trying to figure things out, and then you miss a couple of things.
Right. All right, so I have a nitpick. I have a major nitpick.
Let me guess.
What?
Does it have to do with music?
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does. Okay, so they released the soundtrack list before the movie came out, like about a week before, and I saw The Greatest Show on there. And if you know, The Greatest Showman, Hugh Jackman was in that. He helped I don't know if he helped write it, but I believe he helped produce it. And so he sings on that track, this is the greatest show, he's singing, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment that you've waited for. There's so many good, moments in there that Hugh Jackman is singing. And I could see this being in the film somewhere, in Deadpool and Wolverine, kind of breaking the fourth wall. And just one lick from this track went into it. It was right before the car fight where Wolverine and, I want to say Ryan Reynolds, Wolverine and Deadpool, you know, have this huge car fight. Right before they start clawing at each other, you hear, which is the opening of it. And then it cuts right to the music from, oh my gosh, Grease. It cuts right to the Grease song.
You're the one that I want?
The duet. Yes, you're the one that I want. And I was like, oh man, come on. Is that all we're going to hear? So
yeah, you know it's not a budget
sad.
thing.
No, because they bought the rights because it's on the soundtrack.
Right. Yeah. But, you know, with contracts, you can have it on the soundtrack, but you can't have it in the movie playing prevalently.
Yeah.
Is always. But I doubt that has anything to do with this. And maybe on the DVDs or streaming when this movie streams, I doubt we'll have a DVD of this, but maybe there'll be an uncut scene where they will go more into it.
Ryan Reynolds is a musical fan. He was in Spirited.
Oh.
Remember? He sings in Spirited. Hugh Jackman is in a bunch of musicals. To see him and Hugh singing together at some point? Come on! I want to see Wolverine and Deadpool singing.
But wasn't there a Music Man joke?
I believe, yeah, there was something about that. There was like a very small joke.
Yeah.
Yes. And now I can't remember what it was, but...
But Hugh Jackman was apparently in The Music Man at some point.
Well, yeah. Yeah, he was in Oklahoma. I'm sure he's been in The Music Man. He's very, very prevalent in musical theater.
Oh, yeah. The man can sing.
Yes. So anyway, to see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds singing together, Be Still My Heart, I would love that. Oh, C.A. Cornell is saying, my friend saw Hugh in The Music Man last year.
Oh.
Sweet.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
That answers that.
Wow, so that's very recent. Oh,
yeah.
That makes sense that Deadpool would make a recent joke.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I want to go over to Comic-Con where we got to speak with Rob Simonsen, who is the composer and of Deadpool and Wolverine, and we got to chat with him in a roundtable after the Musical Anatomy of a Superhero panel at San Diego Comic-Con. And this is one of the panels that we will be sharing next week because I got to record most of it. So I asked him about working with the needle drops of the film. So things like a Prayer or Bye, 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 things like that. Like how did he incorporate his soundtrack into those existing songs?
Really, 500 Days of Summer was a great masterclass, and I call it, you want the score to kind of feel like it's living in the same flows as the pop song. So it's like coming from the same closet. So they're complementary aesthetically. Deadpool, there's stuff that's really all over the map. But I think there were some scenes that were using songs for a long time that they felt like weren't quite getting them to the feeling that they wanted to be getting. Or maybe it was just kind of these songs were treading water and they needed them to develop. So because I had done Stranger Things with Sean, and he brought me in to do the running up the Kate Bush stuff in season 4 and the finale of season 4, where we took the main title theme and blew it out to like a 4-minute orchestral thing. He was familiar with how, using score and doing original augmentation to songs could really give them new life and help them to do what they needed to do in the scenes. So Sean, asked me to do that with some pretty fun songs, and it was crazy getting stems for Like a Prayer. Right. I mean, I feel like that's maybe the most valuable thing in my hard drive. But I have November Rain all stems in my hard drive. We need to talk. Yes.
Wait, what does stems mean for the layman?
All the separate tracks.
Oh my god.
So axle, slash, everything.
Wow.
Vocal, bass.
And that's a good music cue that was used in the film.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Like a Prayer. That was used in the climax of the film, in which Deadpool and Wolverine, go down to that basement and hold hands. Very, what is that called? Guardians of the Galaxy like. Mm-hmm. And, put that
join forces.
Matter and antimatter together to save their universe, basically. Yeah.
So apparently he's a Star Trek fan because he was wearing that little Star Trek bracelet that we got at one of those Star Trek activations.
Yeah. I'm sure. I didn't even see that. Nice. Yeah, so there you go. What did you think of that climax, Richard?
Oh, it was very Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great seeing these two work together. This is another one of those powerful moments of the film where no more jokes. Now we gotta get things done. We gotta save the universe. Let's hold hands and join.
And that's when Wolverine's costume burned off, and Deadpool's like looking at him with side eyes, like, "Whoa, there we go. There's shirtless Hugh Jackman over there."
So then apparently there was some humor in that.
Yes, there was.
Okay, I just remember that being that moment where they gotta join forces, and it all comes down to this.
I remembered shirtless Hugh Jackman.
I'm sure you do.
But yeah, I love you, sweetie.
I know you do.
All right. Well, woo, I think that wraps up our discussion on Deadpool and Wolverine. If you guys have any more comments, please let us know in the comments of the show and anything else. Yes.
Have you seen Deadpool and Wolverine at DCA?
Oh.
We haven't seen them yet as of now, so let us know what you think and post any pictures or video in our Facebook group or on Instagram.
Story time with Deadpool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think with this last week, don't think we had 2 seconds to run down to Disney.
No.
Until today. Well, we're going to meet our virtual Cantina Network friends down there in just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can pop over and see the 6 p.m. show, maybe.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see Deadpool and Star-Lord together because we haven't seen them.
Yes!
I've always loved team-ups
Yeah.
as a kid, and to see these two characters you wouldn't see anywhere else team up is going to be a blast.
I am so excited. All right, well, that wraps up episode 476 of
Skywalking through Neverland. So let's LFG with these end credits here. I just wanted another reason to say LFG.
I like it.
So we want to thank Disney for inviting us to the screening. Much, much appreciated. And we want to thank all you Skywalkers for joining in on this day as a weekday. It's the middle of the day of the workday, but you still came in to watch. Thank you so very much. And thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel and for posting things in our Facebook group. And as much as you do to be immersive in our Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook groups and page.
Yes. And do you have anything you want to share? Well, you can join us every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific on YouTube. And as we share things that we've done the past week, you are invited to comment along or even come up on screen and share what you're doing or what you've just added to your collection. So that's usually every week at 6 p.m. Pacific.
All right, now, are you interested in our books? Apparently, a lot of people were over the last couple of days because we sold out our in-stock copies of Today in Star Wars Universe Part 1 and 2, but we already ordered some more, so they're on their way.
Star Wars history.
What did I say?
You said Star Wars Universe. Today in Star Wars
Star-
Universe. That's okay.
Yeah, they know what I mean.
Yes.
And the Skywalking Through My Fandom, the interactive notebook, which we got a lot of great comments these last couple of days. People like, why didn't I get this in 1977? Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Because I wasn't born yet.
No, you weren't. But you can get them all at skywalkingthrough-neverland.com/book.
Yes. Now, would you like to support Skywalking Through Neverland? You can support us through the Skywalking Force, which is our Patreon. We have several new Patreon Skywalking Force members this month. So hi, all of you, and welcome. And you guys have access to bonus content in the form of our Zoom discussions on the past Disney Plus shows. Several of you also got to head to Comic-Con for free because we had extra passes for you. And you also get a coupon code to use for our books. So this bonus content begins at only $5 a month. You can head to skywalkingforce.com, have a look at the options. And once again, thank you so much to those of you who are already part of the Skywalking Force.
And we want to give another big thank you to our sponsor, Small World Vacations. And they are a diamond-level Disney vacation planner travel agency that can help you book your trip to a Disney park around the world or on a Disney cruise. And you can fill out a Get a Quote form at smallworldvacations.com today. Their vacation planning service is free of charge, so check it out and tell them Skywalking Through Neverland sent you.
Now we are part of the Skywalking Network. Where you can find other great shows like Talking Apes,
The Neverland Clubhouse,
Totally Tell Me Everything,
the Max Effects Podcast,
Star Warsologies,
and the YouTube shows Collectopolis and Today in Star Wars History.
You can find us on social media at Skywalking Pod nearly everywhere, and on YouTube and Facebook, just search Skywalking Through Neverland.
Now, don't forget to stick around for bloopers and just like that. Not a blooper, it's a blooper. So stick around for bloopers and other fun bits that didn't make it into the show. And
always remember
to LFG.
Yeah, snicked.
And Neverland on Alderaan. I'm singing this now.
Look at them. There's little Wolverine right here. Pet him. Pet. No, you pet Deadpool.
There you go.
There's Wolverine.
Hey, take it.
Me too.
I've been
Okay.
holding that one in.
Hold on. Okay. I'm gonna hit record here.
Loud.